I'm the same boat. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! That KKK has got to go! Say hey! Hell no! That KKK has got to go! Hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Hell no! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Hell no! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Hell no! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Hey, hey! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The KKK has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! KKK.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. My name is Alex Fisher. I am a collective member of the Root Social Justice Center, who has called for this action this evening to stand in solidarity with the folks up in Burlington, who are also holding a rally tonight to address the atrocious incidents of KKK flyers being posted on people's houses up in Burlington. We're also here to acknowledge that white supremacy and groups like the KKK do not just exist somewhere else. We're here to acknowledge that racism is real and alive here in our town every day, and that we are here to stand up and say we believe in racial justice, we believe in something different, and A few other people will speak tonight, but we want to start off by reading a community statement of support to which several community groups and businesses have signed onto. So I'll just go for it. We're rallying in solidarity with the targeted individuals and the people of Burlington by calling on our communities in Brattleboro to take action to ensure that people of color feel safe in their homes, in the streets, and in the community. We know that Brattleboro has had and continues to have its own share of racism, whether that is anonymous graffiti, discrimination in housing, work and school, or profiling of people of color on the streets and in shops. We are here to say that racism in all forms has no place in our town, in our state, and in our country, and in our world. No to the KKK, no to all expressions of racism, yes to racial justice. Racism thrives on fear. It uses tactics of intimidation like posting those flyers on people's homes, the one place you're supposed to feel safe. That's why it is important that the targeted individuals in Burlington know that there are people around the state who are stating publicly that acts of racist terror are unacceptable, period. Racial justice is a daily issue, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, we need to respond to the extreme incidents, such as what happened in Burlington. Just as important, we need to be proactive in taking action in support of racial justice. That's how we get to set a racial justice agenda. There is no one way to participate in working towards racial justice. We encourage folks to engage on various levels. Educate ourselves with what racial justice organizing has looked like in the past. Seek out news coming from communities of color. Hold conversations with our neighbors and family. Engage and support campaigns that seek to change racist policies and uplift the voices and experiences of communities of color. The following groups that have signed on to this statement invite everyone in our community to participate in building a strong movement here in Windham County that challenges racism at every turn. I will thank you for the groups that have signed on. They are the Just Schools Project. Woo! Yeah, okay, keep cheering. Act for Social Justice. Woo! Hope and Bookkeeping. Woo! Vermont Worker Center. Woo! Green Mountain Crossroads. Woo! Racial Justice Rising. Woo! Center Congregational Church. Yeah! Brattleboro Area Jewish Community. Woo! Post-Oil Solutions. Woo! Brattleboro Solidarity. Woo! St. Mike's Episcopal Church. Woo! Lost River Racial Justice. Woo! And Everyone's Books. Yeah! We'll have a few speakers. Next up, we'll have Jamie Contois. Jamie.
Hi, my name's Jamie Contois, or Contois. Sorry. No worries. So, 5 months ago, and my son's on my back, so excuse me for a second. Okay, it wasn't okay that he was on my back. 5 months ago, I wrote a letter to the editor following the murder of parishioners of the church in South Carolina. And I wrote that today I am grieving. I have been grieving. I stand as a white woman and a new mom with all the mothers and all the fathers, the sisters and the brothers who have suffered under the oppression of racism in the United States, from South Carolina to Vermont to across our nation. My grief today has turned to outrage that in 2015, our neighbors, our friends, and our family are targeted, are intimidated, and are threatened because of the color of their skin. I'm standing here today because I have been very empowered through a very important relationship in my life. I met a woman named Michaela here in our community when I was pregnant. We were both pregnant and we were both in prenatal yoga together. And while we were doing yoga together, we connected and had a wonderful time thinking about the coming birth of our babies. Michaela is an African-American woman that some of you may know, and we gave birth a week apart. And I'm motivated today as she and I have raised our sons side by side. And her fears about her son's future are different from my fears. And I want to organize and use my life as a mom, as a community member, as a Vermonter, so that all of our family, all of our friends, all of our neighbors are safe. That all of our babies are raised in an equal and just world. I recently read the Burlington Free Press, and there was a quote that this act in Burlington of targeting 2 people of color with KKK flyers was possibly not a prosecutable crime, or a justice system wouldn't be prepared to actually prosecute. And the message that I send as a mom today is that this is a hate crime. Yes. And that we need to stand together and call for not only the identification of persons who do hate crimes, but the prosecution of them. And the rehabilitation so that we can live in a racially just and equal society. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Celeste. I've been in Brattleboro for almost 2 years now. Okay, my name is Celeste. Thank you. I've been in Brattleboro for almost 2 years now, and I do want to say that it's very important that Vermont communities are proactive as opposed to reactive when it comes to racism, and that racism and white supremacy are things that are often not very open and not as overt as we think they are. They aren't just people referring to black people as niggers, you understand? It's something that's a lot more insidious. It's statements, it's vocabulary, it's indirect treatment of people, or indirect, but it still means the same thing. It's very, very insidious. So it's very, very important that we take responsibility as Vermonters, as United States citizens, and really seek education about the U.S. history of racial justice within this country. It's very, very important. That's all I just wanted to say.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Ellen Schwartz. I'm the president of the Vermont Workers Center. And, we're a statewide organization that organizes for workers' rights, economic and social justice, and racial justice, among other things. And I'm going to read a statement that we've issued as an organization regarding these events in Burlington. Last Thursday evening, 2 young women of color in Burlington were targeted by a person or people affiliated with the Klu Klux Klan who delivered flyers to their doors. These flyers are only the latest incident in an ongoing escalation of racist attacks aimed at people of color in our community, and part of a national rise in state and vigilante violence towards communities of color. The Vermont Workers Center denounces this attack, and our members will not accept this type of activity in our communities. We understand that far-right groups like the KKK seek to fortify our racist, sexist, and profoundly unequal society by terrorizing those people who are most marginalized, especially when we organize to demand our rights. These groups often experience support during times of economic crises, including from segments of the super wealthy who exploit the economic insecurities of poor white communities to demonize and place blame on immigrants and people of color rather than the capitalist economy that produces poverty. In the face of this, we are recommitting to organizing and building a multiracial movement fighting for human rights and collective liberation. Our organization and our movement must redouble our efforts in showing up for racial justice and taking steps to ensure that members of our community are safe from racist violence. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. A great crowd turnout today. Let's give you all a round of applause for turning out here tonight. And thank you all for coming here, for standing up for racial justice. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Sheila Linton, and I'm a Root Collective member with the Root Social Justice Center and an organizer with the Vermont Workers Center. In my everyday life, I organize people to defend their human rights to live dignified lives. This work runs the spectrum of social causes, but one injustice that indefinitely runs through every single cause or movement I've ever been a part of is racism. As a person of color and growing up in Vermont, I've had countless experiences of racism. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why my family ended up in Vermont is due to the fact that their home was Molotov bombed because my mother, who is black, was living in an all-white neighborhood. I remember the days growing up here in Brattleboro, hearing nigger lover, Aunt Jemima, go back to where you came from. Insults all the way home, at the pool, at my games, in my school. I remember the school harassment, the police profiling, and the KKK written on my friend Vanessa's home back in the early 90s, right here in Brattleboro, and the FBI having to get involved. I stand before you tonight to say no to the KKK and yes to racial justice. And what I really mean to say is no to racism. As many of us know, the KKK is just one form, one slice of the pie of overt racism, as Celeste mentioned before. Racism doesn't always rear its head to be visible to everyone in the same way. People become unaware because they can't see it and are not experiencing it. Some of us have that privilege. We look to those individual acts of racism, such as calling someone the N-word or burning a cross on their lawn, as a threshold to validate or quantify one's experiences, and even sometimes our own. We need to be aware and raise our consciousness to bring other forms and acts of racism to the surface for discussion. We also need to stop hiding behind the KKK and other overt acts of racism and listen hard to the experiences of people of color. We need to have these difficult conversations with each other, with our families, with our neighbors, and with our colleagues. We must talk about the white supremacist culture that we live in to even allow a KKK to exist. We must remember that racism perpetuates itself in many different forms right here in the state of Vermont. Disproportionately, black folks continue to raise complaints in the workforce, where often we hear workers of color have been treated differently, harassed, discriminated against, fired, allegedly due to their race, with little or no recourse. Students in schools, and even more so with special needs students of color, are being tracked, harassed, and expelled, creating a straight path to the prison pipeline. In our communities, Black Lives Matter signs are being taken down and vandalized, and people of color are being profiled and followed in stores. And police brutality is a real thing in Vermont. Ask me. Then we finally retreat to our homes, a safe haven for many of us. But that's not true. Nowhere is safe. One of the reasons why this event is so important is because these acts of hatred and violence leaves us, people of color, questioning our safety, questioning our neighbors, questioning our communities, and it should make you question too. As when one of us is not safe, none of us are truly safe. We then have to live on the edge, to walk around as if everything is just okay. To my knowledge, there's not a calling into work black today. What I mean by this is that as a person of color living in Black America, I suffer every single day. The images, the stories, the experiences, I cannot erase no matter how hard I want to. I don't get to walk away. I use humor to show how ridiculous and insidious racism is, but honestly, every day I wake up and I'm able to face the world is a blessing to God. I wake up as a woman of color every day living in a white supremacist culture underneath a racist institutes governed by racist policies, embraced by lost, sometimes ignorant, racist people, as well-intended as some may be. That is how I have to navigate the world. When racism is at your doorstep, survival is imperative. This is not the beginning, nor will it be the end. However, all have a stake in this. Racism impacts everyone. It just impacts us differently. The goals of tonight's event is to bring awareness to what is going on, create visibility on the issues of KKK and racism in our state and our communities, and to come together in unity to fight for racial justice. Tonight is just one of the many steps that you've taken to meet these goals, to make yourself aware of the issues going on, to show up with the most precious thing we all have to give, our bodies, to join and march in solidarity and in unity for racial justice. I hope that is why you attended this event. And I hope that you will fight not only for your family and your friends, but for our community. My goal is that we take an active stance and be proactive in our communities to make sure something like this does not happen here. I call to action our community. I implore you to sign the clipboards that are being circulated around today, and to start a statewide People of Color Caucus, where white folks support the needs of folks of color and their leadership. I implore you, in addition, to sign up to create a multiracial call to action group where folks will show up for racial justice. If you're able to sign it, please do. If not, the board will be at the Root Social Justice Center. In closing, I'd like to say, strength and courage for those targeted and all who suffer from this hatred. Hate has no home here. We're divided only because we haven't united. Say no to KKK and yes to racial justice. Thank you. I think that's going to about wrap up our speaking part of this engagement. We want to say thank you to all of you who liked the Facebook, who shared it, who repost, who came, who are in solidarity tonight and unable to be here. We need to keep doing this. We need to continue to have a presence. Please, if you are interested in really creating a multiracial movement, please, if you're really interested in creating a People of Color caucus in the state of Vermont, where we as people of color can network and coordinate and organize amongst each other, please sign the clipboards, please join the Root, please join the Worker Center and other organizations doing great work out here. Thank you, everybody, and say no to KKK and yes to racial justice.
Great. Awesome. So,
that one's kind of pumped up.
oh, different song sheet. So, thank you, everyone. As Sheila said, this is the end of our speaking program. We're gonna be staying staying here for a minute, John has a song and some song sheets. And as that's happening, we're also going to start heading back to the route. So we're going to go down Main Street to the co-op, towards the co-op, or through the co-op parking lot, across the footbridge, and back up Frost Street. If you have things and want to go back that way. Otherwise, if this is your ending point, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, everyone. That was very inspiring. I just want to offer you one more chance to express yourselves as part of this movement. A couple of months ago, I heard a stirring rendition of a very old abolitionist song called I Am an Abolitionist, written to the tune of Auld Lang Syne. That means you know this tune. And there's a set of new words that young Dalen is passing out if you'd like to join in singing this. She's still adjusting. You good? We stand against all racism, stand fast for liberty, for freedom is our heritage, not white supremacy. We live in firm and deep resolve to keep all people free. Emancipate from state to state, from sea to shining sea. We stand against all racism, we're called into the fray. Non-violent we persevere in struggle day to day. No need for violence to be done to lay oppression low, for fighting cannot free the ones who're lost but do not know. We stand against all racism, no fear can keep us down, no dangers cause us to desist, conferring freedom's crown. Forever shall we stand our ground for all posterity. With deep resolve we shall ensure humanity stays free. We stand against all racism, opposing bigotry. Our hands are joined and we defend our birthright legacy. With strength in numbers we aver all human beings are free, and peace and justice shall prevail, thus universally. Thank you.